Hey guys, welcome back. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And believe it or not, we're not going to complain about pop culture news.
Yeah, we're tired of complaining about pop culture.
Yeah, we're kind of tired of it. We need a day to just not take a look at the news, and not complain about stuff. So we're going to complain about something else.
Yeah, we're going to complain about something else. We're going to share some funny stories with you.
Yeah, there we go. So we've talked before on the channel about how we used to do a lot of comic book conventions, both for our own self-published comics and stuff, and working on Disney comics. I got invited, and actually somebody tonight just asked if we were going to go to Wizard World Pittsburgh, and that was, I think, the last time we got invited as a Disney Comics guest was at Wizard World a couple years ago. But we've done a lot of conventions.
We did.
A lot of conventions.
Yeah, a lot of conventions and shows and stuff. So
we have, because we've done a lot of conventions, both as like a mainstream comics person and an indie comics person, I think we're going to talk about some of our experiences at the cons. Both, I guess, anecdotal, funny, and some cautionary tales, and just some, by the way, if you're thinking about doing this yourself, you might want to think about, this, that, and the other thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, if you're going to do shows or whatever, you have to remember, too, if it's local to you, I mean, and you don't have the hotel expenses and stuff, then by all means, go and do a show if it's not too expensive. But sometimes shows can be like $500 a table, $1,200 a table.
Yeah, and you might be on a waiting list and all that.
And I mean, you might make like, $8,000, but until you find your hotel and everything, you're going to spend a lot. Sometimes the smaller shows are the better shows. I mean, I find
it depends on the crowd, right? Okay, so I can tell you, this is from years ago. This is from Baltimore.
Yep. Baltimore
Comic Con. This would have been probably 2011 or 2012, and this curtain here, Stan Lee was in there.
Yeah. He used to go. You weren't allowed to go in the bathroom.
No, because Stan Lee. Okay, so the line for Stan Lee, they have him in the back of the hall, and he was behind the curtain. And the line would go along the wall and
was
like
clear
around. And he would walk by our table all the time.
Oh yeah, he'd smile and say hey. And he's so tiny. He wasn't very. I mean,
he's not very big. And this was
very big.
Yeah. So that was our. I never actually got to meet Stan, but he would walk by and wave. And very nice. He seemed.
And then they
nice.
wouldn't let you in the bathroom because he was in there.
You weren't allowed to use the bathroom when Stan was in the bathroom. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can understand that because that would get a little weird. I don't think he wants to be mobbed in the toilet.
Yeah, that would be weird. Anyway, this was Baltimore Comic Con. This particular con, we were promoting our own self-published books.
Which, again, you can find at shadowbinders.com.
You can. Well, actually, these are out of print. We're doing another print run, but these are
those are the originals.
The originals. Yeah. They are long out of print.
Yes.
So good luck finding those. But we also brought with us, because most comic book conventions aren't really comic book conventions anymore, we brought with us an assortment of stuff. And if I remember...
We better clarify what's on the t-shirts, though, because people are going to be looking at that like, what does a t-shirt say? So the t-shirts actually say shittles.
Shittles, yes. We still have some of those, too.
Actually, our daughter has one, but I told her she's not allowed to wear around her grandma.
Yeah.
But it says...
It's not a real word.
It's not a real word, so it's like, So that's a rainbow you don't want to taste. But
don't taste the shittles.
Yeah, it was one of the exclamations from our character in our comic is shittles. So we thought that'd make a great t-shirt.
Yeah, so we had books, but this is very typical for a comic book convention, right? You've got books, but you've also got all this other stuff, because very few people who actually go to comic book conventions these days buy actual books. But I will say Baltimore, at least at the time,
a lot of books.
I think we sold out of books. I think we almost sold out of books.
And then that the one thing in the
well,
background, that is a actual stand-up over here of Crimson Run.
Oh yeah,
it's
that's
actually
right.
a stand-up. He's in the attic right now.
Yeah, he is.
But he's just like a stand-up figure. Yeah. Okay, anyway. So let's talk about stories. So going back before Baltimore, one of the first shows we did was an MangaCon. We're not going to say where.
Yeah, we're not going to name it, especially if the experience was kind of iffy. We're not going to go there.
This one was funny because there was this girl, and she kept coming to the table and talking to us. We were really nice to her and talking to us. But the one day she came over and started talking to us, and I don't know what I did or said, or I don't know what I didn't even say anything bad. I just said something, and her eyes got huge, and she looked at me like I had a third eye, or like I just kicked her puppy or something, and then ran away. And I was like, I still to this day, because she was very socially awkward to begin with, but I still to this day do not know what I did. And if you listen to this show, I am so sorry, because I have no idea what I said or did, or how I looked that freaked you out and made you run away. It was the weirdest thing.
It's strange, because a lot of these shows, you do get, especially
anime
shows,
cons,
you do get a lot of people who are maybe socially awkward. Maybe they misheard you, and sometimes you get grumpy creators too. And that's there was a thread, I think it was on I want to say Newsarama or Comic Book Resources years ago. They were basically like comic book professional horror stories. And these were the professionals that were less than courteous at conventions. You got to realize, though, too, sometimes the people are very tired. Sometimes, they don't want to be harassed. If you're tracking them down in the bathroom and they've had a long weekend and they get a little short with you.
Can I wash my hands first? No,
yeah. I mean, that's your miles may vary. I mean, there are some people who are always very pleasant at conventions. There are some people... I've heard horror stories about, and they're actually not that, like John Byrne. Everybody's like, John Byrne's really grumpy. I'd met John Byrne at conventions. He actually looked at my portfolio when I was a kid, and he was very nice.
That's because he was younger then, and he hasn't been so jaded.
I don't know. He actually was a very nice guy. He wished me luck. I think the week after that, I was actually going to Marvel Comics offices to show my portfolio, which wasn't terribly good, but he was very supportive, and he was actually pretty nice. And everybody's like, oh my God, you met John Byrne, he's so mean. Like, no, he wasn't. He was all right. I didn't have a problem with him. But yeah, so you gotta watch that too, because sometimes just there's miscommunication. Maybe she misheard you. She might have misheard you.
I don't know. It was the weirdest thing. I mean, she was really, really shy to begin with, and you could barely understand her because she talks so quiet.
Yeah.
But she kept coming back, and we were very friendly, and there was no issues. And then suddenly, I don't think I even did anything. She just looked like she saw a ghost behind me. Maybe she did, for all I know. And she just went pure white and then dropped the book and ran away and never saw her again.
That's weird.
I mean, maybe she saw the souls I was keeping in my bag. I have no idea. But she freaked out and it was so weird. But that same convention, that was the one where I was in the panel, and it was this panel room full of people. And it was a panel about storytelling and comics, I think. Webcomics, I think, is storytelling.
Oh, yeah, webcomics, yeah.
And I was in there with my one friend. And the room was completely full. And this guy's talking about, I wasn't presenting, I was just watching. 'Cause I always go to panels, especially, you never know what you can pick up. You don't think you know everything. There's always something you can learn. So I went into a panel and I was there, and he's going on about stories, and then he asked people if there's anybody who works on comics, and people raised their hands, said what they did, and I said we did Shadowbinders. Well, this girl, like a couple seats away from me, starts freaking the heck out. Oh my God, Shadowbinders, oh my God, my friend and I love that, oh my God. And I'm just sitting there like a deer in the headlights, because I'm a very shy person, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, thank you. And then they all, it was for me, it was like a horror movie. They all slowly turned and started looking at me, and they were all staring at me. And then they're all like, what's that comic again? They're trying to write it down, and they're all asking me all these questions. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God. So I guess that was, a cool thing, but it was also kind of freaky.
Once upon a time, we were actually pretty popular.
We were,
The comic was actually pretty popular.
It was.
But, just the internet being the internet and being very fickle, and then we had, some life things. Well,
that we did, yeah. We just didn't update as much as we should have.
Life things came up, and, it's
we can make it big again.
Well, yeah, that's right. Shadowbinders, the anime.
Well, we have all kinds of. Oh, there's some at the time that someone stole our food.
Oh, you can tell that story. I vaguely remember.
We were at another AnimeCon.
This was yet another AnimeCon. You see a theme here. We've actually done lots and lots of cons, but we do a lot of anime cons.
There was a time you had to set up by. So we were set up by that time, well before that time. And there was a table on the other side of us. It was just one other table and us right in that area. We were kind of like this weird little offshoot area. And there was one other table and us. And there was there's two tables. And the person on the other end was there. And the person between us was not. And then us. And then 3 hours passed when you're supposed to be set up. They show up. So we already had to move all our stuff for them to come in there. And then they kept putting their stuff on our table. Behind my display.
Yeah, that's very rude. Don't do that.
Yeah, they kept doing that. They kept putting their stuff on our table. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. So that night we left, and we had some Pringles, a whole can of Pringles. And I stuck them behind this area where no one would see it. You would not know it was there unless you're behind a table. And then we covered it up. And they come back the next day, and everybody else is gone except the people next to us. We come back the next day, our Pringles are gone. They flippin' ate our chips.
They ate our chips. We left chips for us to eat.
And the only ones there were them. Everybody else had left. We put it there, covered it up. And it's the same place they kept sticking their stuff.
Yeah.
And then we moved it over some. And then we came back the next day, and literally the whole can of Pringles was empty. They ate the entire effing can of our chips.
They ate our can of chips.
Do not do that. Do not put your stuff on people's tables, and don't eat their chips.
Well, don't leave food. I mean, we thought it would be okay to leave food there, but I'm like, you know what? Come to think of it, somebody could like spit in your food,
pee in it.
They could urinate in your can of Pringles, and then.
But you think you'd notice?
Well, I would.
But wouldn't it matter if someone did pee in it? They ate it, so that's on them.
Yeah. So
yeah, don't leave your food, but don't eat people's Pringles.
Yeah, we've had
Pringles are sacred.
Oh my god, yeah, it's so weird though. Like for me, like all the conventions kind of blurred together because at one point we were doing like back to back shows, you know, and we were doing comic conventions, we were doing other kinds of shows. I was actually doing caricatures too at one point, and it's just like everything just like blurred together.
I remember the caricature guy. We did the caricatures at this one place. We've been doing it for years, and it's a very, very small show, which is
my god,
great in one hand because you do really well. Bad in the other because this one time before the new management took over, they decided to let another caricaturist in. This is not a big enough event for 2 caricaturists.
No.
And since we've been there for a long time, everybody was coming to us, and we were completely kicking this person's rear end. Not to mention the fact that he wouldn't speak to people. When they come, he would put a headset on, turn his back to them, and draw them, and wouldn't even like talk to them.
Yeah, he's
like,
kind of a douchebag.
You talk to the people the whole time, so they feel at ease. He just wouldn't talk to you. So he wasn't doing well. So his niece or something showed up. He sent his niece over. Now he was using this really cheap newsprint. You were using this really nice Bristol. Sends the niece over to unroll her drawing in front of your table and starts going, look how much better the guy down there is.
Oh my god, he was doing it to everybody because he also did paintings.
Uh-huh.
And there was a girl that was there.
He had dog paintings
for years, and she'd done these like pet portraits or whatever. Mm-hmm. Did the same thing to her.
Yeah, and then this guy,
it
it gets better. So the next year, he tries for a couple of years, and we kicked his butt. Well, the next year, he wasn't there. But we told somebody else who was at the event about a big show we did closer to where we lived at the time. And we didn't know if we were going to go or not because I was going to be due with our daughter. And we did more there in like 2 days than we did the whole week at this event.
Yeah.
And this is like 2.5 hours away. Okay, because, you know, so... And he lived way like an hour the other way. So for him, it's like 3.5 hours away. Well, it turned out I had our daughter, you know, in a timely fashion, enough that we could do the event. And anyway, even though it could be signed up for it. And who would show up at this event? But that person, because people we told lived in the same place as him and went and told him. And he shows up 3.5 hours away to this event. And they're even like, we don't even know where he came from. Nobody from the state, from that side of the state comes over here. We don't even advertise over there. And we know where he came from. And he didn't sell one drawing the whole weekend because everybody came to you because they were used to coming to you.
I know, it's so crazy.
And you felt bad, kind of, but I'm all at the same time, I'm like, you're a dick. You kind of deserve what you get.
Well, this kind of happens at comic conventions with Artist Alley. Like a lot of times you'll
the wall of prints.
Yeah, the walls of prints. You know, again, I'm not knocking people doing the prints, but I mean, you know, look, some of the bigger conventions, you get people with walls of prints that are not their artwork,
mm-hmm.
you know, or they're encroaching onto their neighbor's table.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Or you get people that are hustling. They're pulling.
We've had that happen.
Customers away from your table. Like they're looking at something at your table. Hey, you like that? Well, come over here and see what I got. You know? Don't do that. That's douchey. You know, I kind of joke now that like so many of these comic conventions, I don't know how many more. I mean, realistically, like how many more I'd even want to do. They've sort of turned into like pop culture flea markets,
mm-hmm.
you know, where it's just like everybody just selling like all kinds of like junk. You know, it used to be the conventions people would go to. They'd promote their book. They would have their original artwork. Originally, it was like, you know, Marvel's DC people with their original pages. You get to meet the people who worked on the comics, and then it kind of went from that to like everybody just doing a bunch of pinups and selling their pinups and their bootleg art and their bootleg, you know, this and now I'm surprised that like Disney hasn't cracked down and said, hey,
I think they're going to.
Yeah, I think they will eventually.
We've heard through the grapevine that they might like us, you know, San Diego.
Yeah, because there are so many people selling stuff that's not legit that, you know, and yeah, I mean they're actually cutting into, you know, like Disney and Warner Brothers, you know, and. But there are people out there who, like, I mean, even established comic book artists now that just do conventions and sell prints because they make more money doing that than they do making comic books.
Right, it's true.
You know? And so why wouldn't you? But yeah, it's sort of like sometimes you get kind of that like.
I thought you were gonna tell stories. Now you're just, you know, going on about Comic Cons.
No, I'm just saying like I guess where I was kind of gonna get around to is like sometimes it attracts weird people. And you get stories.
Oh, there's no sometimes. Often it attracts weird people.
Yeah, we always get the person who, and I've had this happen to me multiple times, especially if you do panels. We used to do panels all the time and after the panel they come talk to you, and that's fine. But we always get the person that's like they want to make comics, and they proceed to tell you every detail about their story in their head that they haven't written anything down, which is fine. But usually they choose to tell you this as you're dealing with customers, as you're trying to sell stuff.
They scare people
as
off.
They're chasing the customers away, and you're watching the money walk away from the table because this guy is like pushing his way in. And this has happened multiple times.
And you're trying to be nice. You're like, oh my gosh, it does happen all the time.
This has happened on 3-4.
And but the one person that picked up the book and looked at it, and you told them to pitch, and then they're like,
"Oh my god, okay, so this actually did happen. I don't remember what show it was at. Picked up the book. It's like, oh yes, this looks interesting. What's the book about? And we tell them what the book's about. Well, that sounds an awful lot like the story I have. I'm like, oh, you do comics? You write? No, it's in my head. I haven't written anything yet, but this sounds an awful lot like my story. I'm like, dude, I did not reach into your brain and steal your ideas.
Yes,
don't worry.
We can read your mind. Go put your tinfoil hat on.
Go put your tinfoil hat on.
But I got a funny one. This chair squeaky. Sorry.
Yeah, we need.
I got a funny one.
Geeky squeaky.
I am squeaky. I got a funny one. So we were at a show a few years ago. Now there's a previous story that leads up to this show. So in webcomics, there was somebody who started a network of webcomics, and I'm not gonna say who or what, but they started this network of webcomics, and they tried to get us into it when it was early on, and we wouldn't do it. And because we wouldn't do it, this person made it their personal mission in life to try to find out. We were advertising and try to kick us out of it, to, do whatever they could to cause us trouble. They literally had meetings. We heard from some people that were in the network. They actually had meetings about us. He'd make people come to these meetings and talk about people. We were the ones that kept bringing it up.
This is like proto Twitter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this
guy was like, whoa. Anyway,
yeah,
so this went on for a while, and he really kept doing all kinds of crappy things. Well, we were at a show, and we were on a panel with a couple of his people, and now the people just because he was a weirdo doesn't mean the people that all were in the network were. A lot of them were pretty normal. They didn't know, a lot of them didn't understand what was going on. So you start chatting with one of his people. And you guys hit it off, so they went to the other guy's table. Now I'm across the way at our table, and you're sitting there. Your badge is turned backwards, so you can't see your name. And he's sitting at the table with this guy. They're just talking about stuff, sharing stories, sharing some ideas and stuff. No problem. Well, I turned around just in time to watch this person walk in because he kept making this big announcement he was going to be there. Strolls in. Oh, he just you could just tell. I think I'm so wonderful.
He was like 22.
Yeah,
he was
I'm
young,
so great.
Young.
I'm so great. Anyway. I'm just watching this go down, and from across the way, we walks over to the one guy he knows, which is one of his guys, and he starts talking to this guy, and he's chatting away, and he starts talking to you.
Yeah.
And chatting to you.
And he was actually nice.
Yeah.
To me.
And you're like, okay, well, maybe he's not so bad. Talking to you. And then he's like, well, you're not, because the other guy.
That was a guy named Phil.
And he's like, well, you're not Phil. And that's his partner. And he's like, hi, and he says the name. So Kneon stands up, and Kneon's very tall, and towers over this guy. Leans forward, turns his badge around, and goes, hi, I'm Kneon from Shadowbinders. It's like his face, but so pure white. He almost shit himself. It was. It was one of the best things ever to happen. And then he ran away.
I absolutely would have talked to him.
He sputtered and ran away.
I absolutely would have talked to him in person. I'm not kidding. I actually would have talked to him.
But he caused us so much trouble and went out of his way to be a complete butthead to us. And then he pooped himself when you said who you were. And then the guy with him looks at him and goes, oh, you're that guy.
Yeah, we were infamous before we were infamous. We've been infamous.
And we didn't do anything except tell them no.
Yeah, well,
we told them no.
Telling people no or giving people a contrary opinion is enough to incur the wrath of.
Yeah, because apparently, now for whatever reason in the world, you have to you're not allowed to not like things. You have to love everything that's ever done in a fandom or something. Or you're a hater, a meanie, you're whatever, this, that, or whatever. If you don't agree with every change, even if it doesn't make sense, how dare you?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, and I'm hearing, speaking of like all this in conventions, I saw on Twitter today, I'm hearing that there are, these gossipers going around trying to get people they don't like on the internet, banned from conventions for
I'm sure
stupid
we're
reasons.
probably blocked for things we didn't even know about.
So we don't even know if we'll do any more conventions. But I mean, this particular one we did, Baltimore, we actually did really well.
We did really well. Mostly we sold books and we sold a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
How about the furry?
Which one?
The one from the one we were at the
the one that wouldn't leave the table.
MangaCon.
Yeah, that was kind of
crawls to our table. Sits on all fours in front of our table and keeps turning his head to the side and just staring at us and would not leave. I mean, we're not talking like 30 seconds, ha ha ha. It's a little awkward, but whatever. No, it was 30 seconds, ha 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 ha, and then it went on, and then it went on, and then it went on.
I don't know if it was
and then it reached a level of this is just borderline insanity.
Did he suffocate inside the suit? I don't.
Well, no, he kept turning his head, or he or she.
Cocking
and
its head.
And it was like...
Cocking its head.
And it was like a Donnie Darko type costume, too.
It was a kind of a creepy, magical fox with red demon eyes.
And we're just sitting there, like, it passed the, ha ha ha, is this awkward but funny, like, a long time before.
So you are really just seriously creeped me out.
And it's just like, it just sat there. It never said a word, and eventually just left.
Is that the same convention that they wouldn't feed us? I think that was.
Yeah, it was the same one. Or they were supposed to feed us, and then they kept bringing us food, and it was 2 spoonfuls of something. And the next thing it went though, they
maybe
gave
thought
us
we
food.
need to lose weight.
I don't. That was weird.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think what else. We've had so many things that happened.
Had so many conventions. I mean, look, I think our convention horror stories are pretty tame compared to some people's. I've heard people getting stuff stolen. I've heard people, getting in fist fights. I've heard of people, but you do enough of these, and you kind of get to know the regulars too. Especially where we're at, you've sort of got the the tri-state area regulars that do all the conventions. They do.
I hate the ones that copy people.
Yeah. You had that.
I have one of those. I actually had a couple of those, but the one person actually lives 20 minutes from here, half an hour from here. Flippin' stole my design straight up and just took them, and would show up at all the shows. Oh, that's the story right there. So there was an event near us, really close to us, and they were allowing one type of vendor, a crafter. If you make candles, only one person can make candles. If you make soaps, only one person can make soaps. It
was a craft show. Wasn't it? Yeah.
So I put in early, and I made
comics,
right. I made my pillows, and I put in for it, and then I noticed they're on the list, and I'm like, how are they on the list? They make the same thing as me. Well, it turned out they put it down as something different, like kids crafts or something. So the person who runs the show, I was like, they came out to me because my one friend had told her, and she kept to me and she's like, I am sorry. She's like, I did not know this was gonna be a problem because they didn't tell me that's what they made. So okay, I'm like, it's fine. They're over there on the other side. I'm over here to be okay, I thought. So I'm setting my stuff up. Well, in walks that person, sets their stuff up, which of course looks like mine, then strolls over to my table with their price stickers in their hand.
Yeah, I know, right?
Starts looking at my stuff to see what I have that's new, and starts looking at my prices. And at that point, I'm just like, I cannot not say anything anymore. And I think I said to her, my mom was right there the whole time too. I said, oh, you're gonna steal my prices too? And then she's like, excuse me? And I said, well, yeah, I buy from you all the time. I'm like, clearly, because you copied it all. And then she's like, I don't make the same things as you. And she names one pillow she doesn't make like mine. At the time, pretty much everything she copied.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so you didn't make the one. And then she's like, you're so rude. Like having a meltdown. Okay. And I'm like, whatever. And she walks away. Then here comes the showrunner to me. Was I harassing her? I said, no, I didn't go anywhere near her. She came to my table with her price stickers in her hand. We're looking at what I had at my table. God. And then she tried to get me kicked out of the show because I called her on her BS.
And that became a years-long...
Since then, it has been this woman we go to shows and she sends her kids down to spy on us.
It's crazy. So, and you had other people that were actually, not even doing that. Okay, so Geeky, for a while, and not really into it too much now, but for a while she was selling character pillows, like anime-style character, and she would kill. I mean, we're talking...
Don't say amounts, but I would do well.
I wasn't going to say amounts, but I'm saying if it wasn't nailed down, you were selling them.
Yeah.
The point where... a lot of other vendors at these shows would groan when you came in because they're like, "Oh my God, here comes the pillow lady, and she's gonna kill us."
If you were at Steel City, you would have seen me.
Yeah, and
you couldn't have missed me.
You couldn't have missed her because she was incredibly busy, trying to keep up. But because of that, because of the success she had a lot of people doing knockoffs, right? But all of her patterns were like her original, patterns.
Well, I mean, they were characters, but I had to make all the patterns.
Yeah, but they were, they would, and we'd see people, sneak by and take some pictures and try to.
We'd say not to have pictures when people would do it. So and so can make that for you. Well, the one giveaway on that woman who stole my stuff was she kept telling me she didn't steal it from me, but the one giveaway was one character. It was normally a white character. Like the character color is white. I changed it to a light gray because in the shadow it looks like gray, and I thought it made it look cooler and it was different and it made it pop more. So I actually changed it to light gray, even though the actual character is white. Don't you know when she made hers, she made it light gray?
Yeah. So she copied the.
And there's no way she would have thought of that. I just made it as a personal choice because I thought it looked cooler that way. It made it pop more. Anybody else who would just, if they count with their own, would have just gone with white. And then they're like, I didn't steal from you. I don't know what you're talking about. But this person that goes around to the shows and she knows I'm in a show. She sends her kids to spy on me, walks past, looks at the corner of the eye to see. It's so funny. I call her Pillow Thief. It's hilarious.
Pillow Thief, yeah. I don't even know what her name is. I just know she.
Oh, I know what her name is. But anyway, she has since changed some of her designs now, so she's not copying me exactly, which is fine. Yeah. Because I'm kind of getting out of doing it anyway. But it was just funny as heck because she was like literally in my face, at my table at this event with her price stickers in her hand, looking at my stuff. And then her justification for why it was okay she stole the designs was because she bought stuff from me before. I buy from you all the time. Like, I buy from you all the time, so I'm allowed to knock you off,
I bought this Nintendo cartridge, and now I'm going to make bootlegs.
Because I buy from you all the time,
Right? I can make bootlegs.
And I was just like, unfortunately, I mean, if you're a person that does Artist Alley at cons, this happens to people all the time.
All the time.
That people steal your stuff all the time.
There's a difference between, God, I'm not trying to, and I don't want to sound arrogant in saying it. There's a difference between the professionals who go who are like representing their book, and they're representing the publisher or whatever, and the people who are going to selling like stuff.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference in the mindset. And a lot of people who are just going just to make money, it sort of falls into that kind of that like pop culture flea market thing. And that's sort of, that's why a lot of, I guess like comic book purists are sort of like, let's do conventions that actually focus more on comics. But then the problem is, because the way pop culture is now, like if you just focus strictly on comic books, and comic books make up a very small part of the people who are actually going to go to the con, you're not going to get a very big turnout, So the cons do the best tend to be the general pop culture. It's kind of like comic book shops. You focus just on comic books, you're probably going to go out of business. You have comic books and pop vinyls and anime stuff, you'll probably be okay.
I was just thinking, I'm sorry, I was changing subject again, but the one show we did in Pittsburgh, you actually, the one guy from Ghost Hunters was there. Was it Steve?
Steve, yeah.
From Ghost Hunters
he was at our hotel.
And yeah, he was. We talked to him a couple times, actually.
Yeah, he was
Steve
nice.
from Ghost Hunters was there. And I remember you kept wanting to go over and say something because we used to watch Ghost Hunters, and you wouldn't go over. Well,
I didn't want to be a dick.
Well, anyway, so you left. You had to go.
Oh, that's right. I was
that's when you went to the Toonseum, I think, for their event or whatever.
Yeah, the Toonseum went out of business.
Yeah, but that's when you left to go there.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I was watching a table, and wouldn't you know it, it's close to the end of the show. Over walks Steve.
And I was like debating
the Prince, and he likes the Prince a lot, and everything else. I think he might even bought one. I can't remember if he did or not.
I thought he bought like a Darkwing.
He might have, but he liked the Prince, and I was like, dang it, he's here. You wanted to talk to him. You left. He not only is he here, but he's at our table buying Prince, and you're looking at Prince, and you're not even there.
That's the funny thing about doing the big shows like that, like doing, especially do like New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con or whatever. There is a fairly good chance that a famous person is going to stop at your table.
But some of the famous creators, we've been at guests with them in the same area, and they're right behind us.
Yeah.
And you're afraid to talk to them.
I wasn't afraid to talk.
You were. Who was it behind us?
It was Rob Liefeld.
Oh, it was Rob Liefeld.
Yeah,
and you wouldn't talk to him.
I wasn't afraid to talk to Rob. Okay.
He was busy, though.
He was very busy, and I didn't know Rob Liefeld. And I'm also like, because I'll tell you the truth. The truth is, like, Rob Liefeld gets a lot of crap, but I actually wanted to draw comic books because of Rob Liefeld, because he wasn't a whole lot older than I was. I was still a kid in school, but I saw this younger guy on MTV, and he was making money drawing superheroes, and I'm like, oh, and his superheroes don't look like the kind of the cookie cutter Marvel DC superheroes. They look kind of different from that. And this guy's getting paid big bucks, and he's in a Levi commercial. Very cool. So I wanted to do comic books. And I read comic books my whole life, but I think at that point, when I saw Rob Liefeld on TV, and we're like, wow, you can get a commercial on MTV if you draw comic books. I'm like, yeah, I want to be Rob Liefeld. You know, I want to be like Rob Liefeld. And so, yeah, I kind of, in a roundabout way, like decided I wanted to make comics and get paid for it because of Rob Liefeld. And he's like sitting right behind
Literally
me.
right behind us.
Like literally right behind me. He was with his kids and stuff.
And the whole time, and you wouldn't even, you were,
yeah, but I was also like, no,
him.
I wasn't afraid to talk to him. I was like, look, I don't know him. And I'm also like, what if he's unpleasant?
He was.
Because I've had this happen before.
He's talking to everybody else around us, and he was
Yeah,
fine.
but they're buying Deadpool prints.
Not everybody around us in our group.
But I'm like, you don't walk up to a guy and say, hey, you know, I'm doing comics because of your, you know, Levi's commercial or whatever. And then he turns out to be.
I'm not impressed you remembered that.
Oh, everybody remembers Levi's commercials.
I don't remember him.
You don't remember? I used to watch a lot of MTV.
So did I, but to be honest, I just didn't really care.
Yeah.
I usually didn't care in commercials. I was like, whatever, I'm going to the bathroom.
Yeah, but I used to stay up like all night drawing, and they always ran the Levi commercials and all that stuff. But yeah, so he was like right behind me. But yeah, I had the whole weekend, and I'm like, I never did it because I'm like, well, what if he winds up like thinking like, God, what a loser, you know?
What was really funny at this event, actually, in the picture, Don Rosa was there, and it was hilarious because for 2 hours. He would get up and start walking like he was going to go back and talk to him.
Always busy.
No. Yeah. Excuse me. You were going to go talk to him, and he kept coming back, and he's like, I don't want to bother him. Well, everything's so weird. I'm like, but you've worked on some of his stuff. And you're like...
No, at that point, I hadn't.
Oh, you hadn't. You worked on some stuff, but you hadn't worked on
He
him.
was actually...
You did later, actually.
He was actually... Yeah, and that's the funny thing about it. And I was like... Then it turned out that I was like the only guy that was allowed to touch some of his stuff.
But it wasn't to do with I don't think he even realizes you're that person. It didn't even. They weren't connected.
No, I don't think he was connecting that. But it was so weird because like, well, he was. You know, he is busy. He's a busy guy.
He's always busy. That was before the show though. He was over there, and we did eventually get him talked into going over.
No, I talked to him for a while.
And then you kept going back. Yeah. And then I hope you were. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to bother him. And then after you talked to him once, you kept going over and bothering him.
I wasn't bothering him. But then the funny thing is, okay, so he gives out red peppers. He gives out red peppers. So,
cool.
but no, I did. So weird. So then, like, yeah, a couple years later, I got hired to actually re-ink and recolor a lot of his work for Fantagraphics, which was kind of cool. But yeah, because you know, being a you know, huge Disney Comics fan, like Don Rosa's like he's the guy. Like literally, people don't realize. He is probably, because they're just thinking like superhero comics.
Yeah.
Don Rosa worldwide is probably one of the most famous cartoonists in the world. If you take the entire global audience, his European audience is massive. Like overseas in the Netherlands, like the only comics they read a lot of times are the duck comics. And he was like a god over there. He was like on, like, they do book signs and they thought he was like J.K. Rowling or something. He'd come in and it was insane. But then here in the States, people are like, oh yeah, he's that guy who did the, you know, Uncle Scrooge comics or whatever. But overseas, it's like, oh my God, Don Rosa.
I know, but it was so funny because you'd start walking and you come back and you start walking and you come back. And it was, you know, it was me and the one person that was next to us, and he was a friend of yours. And we were like, well, just go talk to him already. It's like, what do you think?
Yeah, that was one of those where, you know, it's so weird because, you know, we've had people like, you know, geek out about us before, which is freaking weird.
It is weird. It's a weird thing.
But, you know, from where I'm sitting, like, you know, these are people whose work, you know, I followed as a kid and whatever, and to actually get to meet them in person, and depending on, you know, kind of, I guess, how much influence they had on you, it's sort of like, oh my God, I got to meet, you know, so-and-so. But yeah, it was weird, and then we got into a fight about what color the money bin was.
Well, you weren't really fighting.
He wasn't really fighting, but no, he was all right. He was all right, and then I don't think he ever realized that I was that guy when I got hired to work on this stuff.
I don't think
years
so
later.
either.
I don't think he ever realized
that. Put two and two together.
Yeah, I don't think he watches this channel either. So
No,
I don't think he's ever
sure
gonna realize.
He doesn't watch this channel. But yeah, so I'm trying to think about other ones. We have some other ones. I mean, there was a lot of weird stuff that went down.
We always get here's the one thing that I freaking love at conventions, right? Okay, so you do panels.
Are you like love for real or love like irony, like not real?
Sarcasm.
Okay. Sarcasm.
So we always get let's see, the big talkers who've never done anything professionally.
Oh God! And you're always on a panel with these people.
You're always on a panel with these people who have never worked for a publisher. They've never worked on anything of note, but they're going to school everybody very loudly about how to do it, how they're going to do it. Just absolutely ridiculous. We get these people all the time, and I'm like, like, I don't want to be a dick on the panel, but there are sometimes where I'm just kind of like, oh my god, stop talking. And we get, the people. There are a lot of people in comics. I think this comes down to a lot of the weird stuff you see on Twitter. Is there's a really overinflated sense of importance.
Yes.
Of people working in comics. Like, you do realize you're very lucky to be doing this at all, because there are very few jobs in this industry, if you're actually working professionally. Two, you're probably not mega rich or anything. Three, comics are such a small slice of the larger entertainment industry. Like, it's not like you're going to go to the grocery store and get mobbed. Like, nobody cares. And four, like, if you aren't even working on anything of note, if you're working on something that either like is just your own stuff or sold like 1,000 copies or whatever, nobody knows who the hell.
Oh yeah,
you are.
I've seen somebody.
Nobody knows who you are.
Right, and they literally and like, oh, I am so important.
Like, literally,
and literally, it's like you really aren't anyone. It's like, why are you acting like this? And it's undeserved arrogance.
And you get on a panel with these people, and they will actually talk over. And I'm not saying like, me being personally a fan, like, I don't really care. But you're on a panel with people, and you'll have people from like all over the place. So you have like mid-range creators, and top shelf creators, and then you get like the guy who's never really done anything, but he's gonna tell the 25-year industry vet, how to do their job.
It's true, it happens. We've been on these panels,
and literally, this has happened so many times. Like, like, they're gonna lecture this person because either they have no idea who the person is, or they really in their head think that they are smarter, like, well, I just got my first gig.
Or this is my first panel ever, and I'm so impressed with myself to be here. And it's just, and it's funny. Or I've been to panels, and like I said, I always go to panels because you always can learn something. And there'll be people that, are nowhere in the ballpark and in publishing or whatever, and they're on this panel telling everybody else how to do it when they themselves aren't even doing it really. And I'm just sitting there like, that's
like some of these people who are charging $500 to do crowdfunding.
But I'm just saying, and you're sitting there like, wow, that's such an ego for somebody who hasn't done anything. But that happens a lot, actually.
It happens a lot, and it's usually, and I don't know if it's overcompensation or really.
I think it's just insecure themselves, and they're trying to overcompensate. Yeah, I really do think that's what it is. And it's like, don't.
Well, yeah, and I think that attitude, especially with artists, like, you see it so much on the internet. You see it on Twitter and Tumblr, where you can't tell these people anything. You can't tell them anything. Knew
that was on some virtual, like, online, things with us before. Always talk about everybody. And I know you made the comment one time about, well, if I'm going to take advice from somebody, I'm going to take advice from somebody who's where I want to be, because they clearly have been there and they know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take advice from somebody that never has done it. Oh my God, this person's had a flipping meltdown. Because, well, they were a person that always wanted to put themselves in a position of importance and authority, if they ever actually did them themselves. And they were having a fit because that anybody's opinion should matter.
No, I don't agree with that. That's like asking for financial advice from somebody who's filed for bankruptcy 10 times.
Yeah, or never made $1 to begin with.
Right.
They're going to tell you how to do it.
Career advice from somebody who's never had a job.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was so funny.
I'm like, yeah, and that there's always been. My philosophy personally is, if I want to learn how to do something and do it correctly, I'll listen to somebody who's actually done it, and that's not, to be like, blow, F you people, but frankly, yeah, if you don't know what the hell you're talking about and you don't have any provable results, why should I listen to you?
Mm-hmm.
Why should I pay you $500
because sometimes people have
to
new
run
ideas.
a campaign? Yeah.
But, yeah, it was just like, oh boy. But yeah, I didn't even think about the panels, but yeah, there's been some fun panels that
yeah,
people on the panels have been, oh my God.
So now I think to myself, like, I mean, we haven't done conventions in a couple of years. Would you consider doing them again?
I like doing them only because you meet a lot of really cool people. I like talking to people. I mean, it's okay. I'm okay talking to people if it's like I'm not mobbed or I'm not in front of people. Like when we had to do the Cards Against Humanity in front of all those people, I about flipped out. But one-on-one, I actually don't mind it so much. I actually kind of like talking to people and stuff.
I do. I really got to think about it. I'd have to think about it, because a lot of people ask, like, are we going to do conventions again? And I don't know. I mean, maybe we, start publishing again and we, have something to take. But I'm also like, realistically, I know that most people don't go to comic book conventions to buy comic books anymore. They want, you know, stuff, trinkets and stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, I like walking around, but I'm also like, you know, if I want to actually sit down and talk to creators or fans, you can do that through the internet now. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars, you know, and travel and all that hassle and take off of work.
I think it's a fun thing to do too. I mean, I prefer honestly being on the other side of the table. Like, I prefer being behind the table than I do. When we were at, you know, Celebration. Yeah. I even said to you, it's like, you know, for me, I prefer, after being on both sides of the table, I prefer being behind the table.
Yeah, I was like, we were running, it's so weird because, you know, we do the conventions and we do these multi-day shows, and we kind of had we had the whole thing down, like, okay, well, our Sunday is going to be half as much as our Saturday, and this is what we're going to do this day and that day and how we're going to tear it down. But we were always busy. We're always busy selling. We're always busy
and you get
talking.
to walk around, too, and, you know.
Yeah. And, but we were doing a lot of them, and, you know, I think things have changed. I don't know.
I like doing this better.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth. I feel like we're connecting more with people online now than we were,
right?
You know, because like we get our regulars, we get our regulars we talk to. Wish we had more time to talk to more people individually, but you know, we got like over 30,000 people now, and it's kind of like you know, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I do feel like we've connected with, I think, a lot of our viewers.
They're probably bored out of their mind right now, but
I don't think so.
But I got one more.
If you made it this far,
I got another story that's pretty funny, and it's a recent one. I'm not gonna say what event it was, but we were at an event. And we were standing. We weren't allowed to go over yet, so we were kind of standing on the wall waiting to go over. And while we were waiting, a person that is higher up on an important place, I'm not going to say any of the stuff, came out and started talking to us because he knew who we were, and he was actually supposed to meet us and stuff. Well, Kneon and him went somewhere else temporarily, and I just stayed there. I was like, I'll just hang here. You guys come back. I figured I'd just go in and meet you over there. Well, while I'm standing there, there's this guy. Okay, this is guy standing there. Oh my gosh, this guy, I thought he was so important. And it was so funny because he's loudly making these comments about, there goes this author. And he, you know, I was on a panel with him once and blah, 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 blah. And these people that were standing there like, oh my gosh, really? Did you do something cool? Like, are you a writer? Well, no. I was at this convention and they were looking for volunteers to be on the panel. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm just sitting there like, whatever. And then he's like, you know, me this and me that, and I feel that women should be represented this way, and me holding court. And it was hilarious. I'm just sitting there listening to this guy pop himself up more and more as he kept talking. And then they were like, you know, they need to hurry up and let us in because I got to get back home and finish my 2 or 3 books I'm working on.
They're in my head that,
yeah. I mean, it just kept getting better and better every minute. And then we're not allowed to go in yet. And there's still several minutes so we're allowed to go in. Well, in the meantime, you come back with this person.
No, I'll flat say it was a representative from Disney. Bringing us our badges to go get a really good seat.
The special seats at panels and stuff because, you know, they were there with we were with the executives.
Yeah.
So the executives.
That's why we were there, guys.
One of the people from Disney comes out and then he looks at me. He goes, you come on, and he points to me and come on. And then this guy, I didn't even see the look on his face, but I would love to have seen it because he's like, you know, I'm so important. And then I'm just sitting there like listening to all this, like on my phone, like typing on my phone, like, oh my God, this guy. And then they come out with the people with the special badges and stuff, and they're like, you know, waving me over, like, come on. You know, and then we were all walking in with the Disney people and stuff, and it was so funny. I would love to have seen his face.
It was, yeah, we you know, we're not like,
I wasn't gonna say where it was.
No, I'm gonna say where because people know what we do, right? But like it was so weird, like, and I'm not, you know, bragging about it, but like we got into the dealer room or the you know, the show thing. We just kind of walked in and
we had special badges for it. And they're like, how did you get those? People were asking us, like people that work there, like oh my gosh, how'd you get that badge? And you had the Disney.
I know a guy.
And you just like tapped the hat and kept walking.
I didn't know what else to say. Like it's
too hard to explain.
It's complicated. We know people. It's gonna take me too long to explain to you. But yeah, I just want to go and look around.
And but it was funny because this guy. I mean, that goes back to, you know, saying at the conventions, the people who don't
you know, a lot of times they don't do much, and they want to like tell everybody else what they're. You never know.
He's got these men who are mad about women in Star Wars. Women have always been important to Star Wars, and they're saying about Rey, and there's nothing wrong with Rey. Women have always been important to Star Wars. And I'm just on my phone typing like, oh my god.
Yeah, Geeky's important to Star Wars. She gets the VIP badge. She gets out of line.
And then it's like, but it was hilarious, whatever. And he just was like so like all about himself, and then he keeps making these comments to dazzle these people that are behind me waiting in line, and I'm just on my phone like I don't say anything because I'm like I'm not a person that's gonna be like, you know, you're full of crap, and I'm not gonna. I mean, I might say that on here, but I wouldn't say that to your face because I'm nice, I'm polite, and I'm professional. So I'm behaving politely and professionally.
I'm worse in person.
And I'm on my phone. I'm just writing you and telling you what's going on. I'm like this guy, and then here he comes with the Disney people, and they're like, you know, they say my name, and they're like, come on, let's go. And then he just, I would have loved. I didn't even get to see the look on his face. I just, you know, they're just like, oh, I could tell they were watching me, and I just like, oh, okay, and it was so funny.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's you know, it's just, I don't know. I really got to stop and think like if I do convention, maybe someday. I think I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm convention
This is going a long time. Because we're going to tell a couple funny stories. And first of all, you didn't make it very funny.
No, it wasn't very funny.
You kept being a downer.
I'm not being a downer. I'm
telling all the funny stories.
Well, I think that's sort of where my headspace is. Like even with
you're a downer?
Yeah, I'm a downer. No, with like the whole comics thing in general, like I just sort of like, you know, I want to get excited about comics again. You know, I really do. And it's just, you know, the convention thing kind of went with it.
I'm still excited about our story.
I know. We're going to get things back on track.
You keep saying that.
I know. I'm working on it. I am working on it. It's just, you know, comics broke my heart, man. It did.
I'm just very excited to tell a story. Anyway, now we bore people half death because I'm bored just listening to you talk about this.
That's why I don't get invited to panels anymore because I'm boring. So I'm boring. They don't want me on panels. We'll stay on the other side of the table. But no, it's cool. I don't know do we have any advice for anybody that wants to do comic book conventions?
Well, I think I did say some stuff at the beginning.
Make some stuff that sells.
Yeah,
don't rely on your books because nobody buys comic books anymore.
Remember too that, you know, like I said, keep costs in mind. And I hope it might be $100 to set up for the show, but then if you have the hotel and you have travel and you end up like a $500 bill, you have to sell $500 worth of merchandise before you even make any money. And a lot of people come out happy to break even. We're not those people. If we didn't make profit, we didn't go back.
Hell no. And it doesn't matter how big the show is. I know people who waited years to get in San Diego, and they walked out of San Diego, you know, a little bit in the black, and they're like, it still wasn't worth it. You know, just because the show's big doesn't mean you're actually going to make money, because your expenses are going to be big too. San Diego, New York, you know, those kind of shows, you're going to have to make some bucks. You know, you might actually, to start, you're going to be better off doing like smaller local shows where the tables might only be $100, $200, and see if you actually can sell your stuff.
And a couple things too. I mean, beyond that, if you're doing your table setup, you know, I'm actually looking at this now and thinking we had too much stuff on the table.
But we sold a lot of it.
We did sell a lot, but you can actually have too much stuff, and then it, you know, and then people, they only can see so much of it, and then their brain just kind of blocks it out.
Yeah.
So you can get too much stuff on a table too, and I see a lot of tables and they're like so full of stuff, and I'm just like, I can't even. You know, I can't even look at it all because there's too much.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
And what's your focus? You know, like, are you there to sell books? Are you there to sell?
Focus on those things.
Your art? Are you there to just, you know, network? And I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't think comic book conventions are a good place to network anymore. They used to be. But not because people used to get hired at conventions. That I don't think that happens anymore. I think it's basically a flea market. And you know, there might be some after parties, maybe possibly, but I think.
But back then, though, there weren't as many, and they were bigger, and then that's when they'd send the Marvel DC people out to the events.
They actually sent scouts and editors.
Unless it's like a really, really big one, that doesn't happen. And people that are there working for these companies, they're freelance. They can't give you a job, so you know they're not gonna be able to help you. They might give you some pointers, but they're not gonna be able to like to tell you, I can hire you, or yes, you're good, great, I'm gonna forward that through. They can't do that like they used to.
Don't shove your portfolio in random freelancers' faces. That's kind of rude.
Don't tell them you do better work than they do.
Don't tell them you do better. Don't lecture them on how they should do their job.
Don't take pictures of their stuff and then say so and so can make this for you.
God, yeah, I know. Just you know, mind your manners, and I think sometimes people forget that. You know, they're. And this kind of surreal. It's like the real world rules still apply to the comic book convention. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe one of these days we'll go back. We'll see. All right, so we're going to wrap this one up? Okay, so we're going to wrap this one up. If we didn't bore you, please subscribe to CLOWNFISH TV.
Yeah, well, hope we didn't bore them. This went on for a long time.
Gaming videos, musings about comics and industry and all of that kind of junk.
I just wanted to tell funny stories.
All right, well, we'll just do a funny story one sometime.
All right.
Not this one, though. It wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.